Lily Thompson stepped off the bus, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The quaint village of Maplewood unfolded before her like a storybook, complete with cobblestone streets lined with charming cottages and vibrant flower beds. It was a far cry from the sterile orphanage she had called home for most of her life. The air was fragrant with the scent of blooming lilacs, and the gentle hum of bees provided a soothing backdrop to her thoughts. Her gaze fell upon the old house at the end of the lane, the one she had inherited from a grandmother she barely knew. It stood proudly amidst towering oaks, its red brick facade weathered yet sturdy, draped in a patchwork of ivy. "This is it," she whispered to herself, taking a deep breath as she approached the aged front door. The house seemed to beckon her, promising whispers of the past hidden within its walls. As she pushed the door open, it creaked ominously, sending a shiver down her spine. The dimly lit entryway greeted her with a musty scent, a reminder that time had laid its heavy hand on the place. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light filtering through the grimy windows, and the faded wallpaper peeled back in places, revealing the layers of stories buried beneath. "What secrets do you hold?" she murmured, her fingers tracing the ornate banister as she ascended the staircase. The first room she entered was the living room, a cavernous space that seemed frozen in time. An old fireplace dominated one wall, its mantel adorned with dusty trinkets and aged photographs. Lily picked up a frame, turning it over to examine the image within. It was a sepia-toned picture of a woman with kind eyes and a warm smile, a woman who could only be her grandmother. "I wish I could have known you," she said softly, feeling an unexpected pang of sorrow. As she explored the house, she discovered letters tucked away in drawers, their fragile paper yellowed with age. One letter caught her attention, addressed to "My dearest Evelyn." The elegant script flowed across the page, recounting tales of love and loss, of dreams unfulfilled. "You were more than just a name on a piece of paper," Lily thought, her heart swelling with a sense of belonging she had never felt before. After what felt like hours of wandering, she made her way to the back door, which led to the forest that bordered her new home. The trees stood tall and proud, their leaves whispering secrets to the wind. With each step into the thicket, the world behind her faded, replaced by a realm of nature's wonders. The sunlight filtered through the branches, casting dappled shadows on the ground, and for a moment, she felt like an adventurer in a fairy tale. As she ventured further, a strange sensation washed over her, as if the forest was alive, watching her with curious eyes. Suddenly, something caught her eye, a flash of metal peeking through the underbrush. Intrigued, she pushed aside the ferns and stumbled upon a long-abandoned helicopter, its once bright colors now dulled and overgrown with vines. "What on earth?" Lily gasped, her heart racing with excitement. She approached the aircraft, her fingers brushing the rusted surface. Memories of action movies and daring rescues flooded her mind. Who did this belong to? The question echoed in her thoughts as she circled the helicopter, inspecting the remnants of a life once lived. "Lily," a voice called out from behind her, breaking the spell of the moment. Startled, she turned to see a boy about her age, his sandy hair tousled by the breeze. "You found it too, huh?" he grinned, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Yeah, it's amazing," she replied, her heart racing with the thrill of discovery. "Do you know anything about it?" The boy shook his head, stepping closer. "I've lived here all my life, and I've never seen this before. It looks like it's been here for ages." "Let's see if we can figure it out," Lily suggested, her adventurous spirit ignited. "I have a feeling this is just the beginning." With a shared glance of excitement and determination, they stood before the mysterious helicopter, unaware that their discovery would lead them down a path of secrets and stories waiting to be unveiled. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue through the canopy of trees, Lily stood before the helicopter, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The metal door, rusted and heavy, seemed to resist her touch as she reached for the handle. With a determined tug, she pulled it open, the creaking sound echoing through the stillness of the forest. Inside, the air was stale and thick with dust, and her eyes quickly adjusted to the dim light filtering through the broken windows. "Wow, look at this," she exclaimed, stepping cautiously into the cockpit. The instrument panel was a maze of faded buttons and levers, remnants of a bygone era. But it wasn't the cockpit that caught her attention. It was a small, leather-bound diary lying haphazardly on the pilot's seat, its cover cracked and worn. Lily bent down to pick it up, her fingers trembling with anticipation. As she opened it, the pages felt fragile, yet there was an unmistakable energy emanating from them. Each word seemed to whisper secrets waiting to be uncovered. "Jake, come here. You have to see this," she called, her voice barely containing her excitement. Moments later, Jake appeared at the entrance of the helicopter, brushing leaves from his shirt. "What did you find?" he asked, his eyes widening as he stepped inside. The diary lay open in Lily's hands, and he leaned closer, peering at the handwritten entries. "It belongs to a pilot named Daniel," Lily said, her brow furrowing as she scanned the faded ink. "He wrote about flying in the war and... Wait, there's something here about a treasure." She flipped through the pages, her heart pounding. "Listen to this. The greatest adventure lies not just in the skies but in the secrets buried beneath them." Jake's eyes sparkled with intrigue. "Treasure? This is like something out of a storybook. What else does it say?" Lily continued reading, her voice becoming animated. "He talks about a hidden cache, something he stashed before he went missing. But it's all so vague, just mentions of landmarks around the village. It seems like he left clues." Jake leaned back against the wall of the helicopter, crossing his arms. "We have to find it. This could be our chance to uncover his story and maybe, find something valuable." Lily nodded, a sense of purpose igniting within her. "But it's not just about the treasure. It's about understanding who he was and what happened to him. This could be connected to my family." She paused, a flicker of doubt crossing her features. "What if the villagers don't want us digging into the past?" "Let them try and stop us," Jake said, a grin spreading across his face. "We're not just going to sit here and let history fade away. We're going to solve this mystery together." As they left the helicopter, a chill touched the air, and the shadows of the trees loomed larger. Lily felt a strange connection to the pilot, as if his spirit lingered in the forest, urging her to seek the truth. "Jake, do you know anything about the old families in Maplewood? The diary mentioned something about a long-standing rivalry." Jake nodded, his expression shifting to one of recollection. "Yeah, the Hawthorne and the Mitchells. They've been at odds for generations, all because of some feud that nobody talks about. I think it started over a love affair many years ago." He paused, glancing at Lily. "Maybe the treasure is somehow tied to that. If Daniel was involved with either family, or both," Lily interjected, excitement bubbling in her voice. "What if this treasure could help mend the rift between them? Maybe it could bring the village together." Jake shrugged, a mischievous spark in his eye. "Or it could make things worse. But either way, we need to find out more. Let's head back to town and see what we can dig up." As they made their way through the forest, the atmosphere thickened with an unspoken tension. The tall trees whispered secrets, and the ground crunched beneath their feet, blending their footsteps with the symphony of nature. With each step, the thrill of the unknown propelled them forward, fueling their determination to unveil the hidden legacy that awaited them in the heart of Maplewood. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the quaint village of Maplewood, Lily and Jake hunched over the weathered diary nestled between them in the grass by the helicopter. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, and the chirping of crickets began to fill the evening silence. With each page they turned, the excitement in Lily's chest swelled, fueled by the realization that they were on the brink of uncovering something extraordinary. "Look at this," Jake said, his finger tracing a faded map sketched on one of the pages. "It seems to point to a place near the old mill. Do you think it could be a clue?" Lily leaned closer, studying the intricate lines and markings. "It has to be. The diary mentioned the mill as a place where the pilot used to go for meetings, I think." Her voice trembled with anticipation. "We should check it out." "Let's do it." Jake grinned, a spark of adventure igniting in his eyes. "I'll grab my flashlight. It'll be dark soon." As Jake dashed off to retrieve his belongings, Lily felt a thrill of exhilaration coursing through her. Each discovery seemed to draw her deeper into the history of Maplewood, intertwining her fate with that of the mysterious pilot and the legacy that had been hidden for so long. She wondered fleetingly about the secrets buried within the village and how they might relate to her family. When Jake returned, they set off down the winding path leading toward the old mill, their footsteps crunching on the gravel. The sun sank lower, painting the horizon in hues of orange and purple. "You know," Jake said, breaking the comfortable silence, "I've lived here my whole life, and I never really thought about the history behind these places. It's kind of amazing." Lily nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "I've always felt like I was missing something, like there was a part of my life that I hadn't discovered yet. Now, it feels like I'm finally piecing it together." As they approached the mill, an eerie stillness enveloped them. The structure loomed ahead, its weathered wood and rusted machinery standing as silent witnesses to the stories of the past. The air grew cooler, and a sense of foreboding settled in Lily's stomach. "Do you think anyone will be around?" Jake asked, shining his flashlight at the entrance, which was partially obscured by overgrown weeds. "Let's hope not," Lily replied, suppressing a shiver. "I'd rather not deal with anyone who might want to keep the past buried." Just as they stepped inside, an elderly woman emerged from behind a pile of old crates, her eyes narrowing suspiciously. "What are you two doing here?" she asked, her voice sharp. Lily's heart raced as she fumbled for words. We're just exploring. I inherited a house nearby, and I'm learning about the village's history," she managed to say, trying to sound confident. The woman's gaze softened slightly, but skepticism lingered. "History can be a heavy burden. Some things are best left alone," she warned, her voice echoing in the dim space. "Why would you say that?" Jake challenged, stepping forward. "If there are secrets here, don't you think they deserve to be uncovered?" The woman sighed, her demeanor shifting. "You're young, and you have your whole lives ahead of you. But trust me when I say that the past can haunt those who dig too deep." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving Lily and Jake standing in the shadowy mill, the weight of her words hanging heavily in the air. "Did you see her face?" Jake whispered, his excitement dimming. "She's hiding something." Lily nodded, the unease creeping back into her thoughts. "But that's exactly why we can't stop now. We need to know what happened, and why it matters." As they resumed their exploration of the mill, the thrill of discovery clashed with an unsettling feeling. Unbeknownst to them, a figure lingered at the edge of the forest, watching intently. Cloaked in shadows, the figure's presence sent chills down Lily's spine, but she was resolute, determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. "This is just the beginning," she whispered to herself, unaware of the secrets that lay ahead, waiting to be unearthed. As the sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the quaint village of Maplewood, Lily Thompson sat cross-legged on the dusty floor of her new home. In her hands, she held an old letter, its edges frayed and yellowed with time. The letter was hidden behind a loose floorboard in the attic, and as she carefully unfolded it, the scent of aged paper wafted into the air, enticing her senses. She felt Jake's presence beside her, his curiosity palpable as he leaned in to read over her shoulder. "Who do you think it's from?" Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly might shatter the fragile connection to the past. Lily's eyes scanned the elegant script. "It's addressed to a Margaret," she murmured, her brow furrowing as she read. "It talks about a love that was not accepted, between her and someone from the Hawthorne family." Jake's eyes widened. "The Hawthornes? That's the rival family we heard about. This could be huge." As she continued reading, the story unfolded like a tapestry woven with threads of passion and tragedy. The letter spoke of clandestine meetings in the woods, stolen kisses under the moonlight, and the pain of a love that society would never accept. Each word resonated within Lily, stirring a longing for connection and understanding that she had always sought in her life as an orphan. "Lily, this is incredible," Jake said, his excitement infectious. "This could explain why the families have been at odds for so long. What if their feud was born out of jealousy and heartbreak? Or betrayal," Lily added, feeling a chill run down her spine. "Margaret mentions a secret that could ruin everything if it came to light." "Then we have to find out what that secret is," Jake declared, his determination igniting a spark within Lily. "If it ties into the treasure and the pilot, we might be on the brink of uncovering something monumental." With newfound resolve, they decided to delve deeper into the house's remnants, hoping to uncover more clues that would connect the dots between the past and the present. They rummaged through the dusty bookshelves, opened old trunks, and explored every nook and cranny, driven by an insatiable thirst for discovery. Hours passed as they sifted through forgotten memories, but the sun began to set, casting shadows that danced in the corners of the room. Just as they were about to give in to frustration, Lily's fingers brushed against something hard beneath a pile of old clothes in the corner. Intrigued, she pulled out a small wooden box, intricately carved with symbols that seemed familiar but elusive. "Jake, look at this!" she exclaimed, her heart racing. "It feels like it could hold something important." They carefully opened the box, revealing a collection of letters bound together with a faded ribbon. The first letter was dated decades earlier and was filled with heartfelt confessions and dreams of a future that would never come to be. "Lily, this might be it," Jake said, his voice thick with anticipation. "This could lead us to the treasure or more about the pilot." But as they pored over the letters, the atmosphere shifted. A foreboding sense of unease settled in the air. Just then, a loud knock echoed through the house, startling both of them. Lily exchanged a worried glance with Jake. "Who could that be?" she whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. "I don't know, but we should be careful," Jake replied, glancing toward the attic door. "Let's hide the box and pretend we're not here." As they quickly tucked the letters back into the box and shoved it under a loose floorboard, the knocking grew more insistent. The door creaked open, revealing two stern-faced villagers, their expressions a blend of curiosity and suspicion. "What are you two doing up here?" one of them demanded, crossing his arms. "We've been hearing strange noises coming from this house." Lily's stomach knotted as she instinctively moved closer to Jake. "We were just investigating the history of the house," Jake interjected, his voice steady despite the tension. "You know, trying to learn more about our family's pasts." The villagers exchanged glances, their skepticism palpable. "You shouldn't be meddling in things that don't concern you," the second villager warned, stepping closer. "Some secrets are better left buried." Lily felt a chill run down her spine. "We're just trying to understand," she said, her voice trembling as she faced the intimidating figures. "We want to know what happened here." "Leave it alone," the first villager said sharply, and with a final glare, they turned on their heels and strode out of the attic, leaving Lily and Jake in a heavy silence. Lily's heart raced as she turned to Jake. "What do we do now?" "They're trying to scare us away." Jake's jaw tightened with determination. "We can't back down. If there's something they're afraid of us finding, it means we're onto something important. We need to stick together and figure this out." Lily nodded, her resolve strengthening. "Let's make a plan. We can't let fear stop us now." Together, they sat in the dim light of the attic, united by their shared purpose, ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. The sun filtered through the dense canopy of trees, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor as Lily and Jake stood before the ancient oak that marked the spot described in the final entries of the pilot's diary. The air was thick with anticipation, the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves enveloping them. "Are you sure this is the place?" Jake asked, his brow furrowed with uncertainty. Lily nodded, gripping the diary tightly. "It has to be." The last entry mentioned a sacred tree and the secret beneath its roots. "We just need to look closely." With determination, they circled the tree, inspecting the ground. They dug their heels into the soft earth and brushed away layers of moss and debris. The deeper they dug, the more adrenaline coursed through them, fueling their relentless pursuit of the truth. "There!" Jake exclaimed, pointing to a peculiar bulge at the base of the tree. "That looks like something." Lily rushed over, her heart racing. She knelt and began to pull away the dirt with her hands, revealing a small, weathered chest. It was covered in vines, the wood darkened and aged, as if it had been waiting for decades to be found. "Help me with this!" she shouted, excitement bubbling in her voice. Together, they managed to pry the chest free from its earthy prison. It was surprisingly heavy, and they exchanged glances filled with a mix of fear and exhilaration. What secrets lay inside? With trembling fingers, Lily unclasped the rusty latch and lifted the lid. A musty odor wafted out, and they peered inside. The chest was filled with various trinkets, a tarnished compass, faded photographs, and a stack of letters tied with frayed string. "Look at this," Jake said, holding up a photo of a young pilot in a leather jacket, his arm draped around a woman with a radiant smile. "Is that?" "Yes, it looks like the pilot from the diary," Lily replied, her eyes wide with realization. As they sifted through the contents, Lily's fingers brushed against a folded piece of paper. She unfolded it carefully, revealing an old letter penned in elegant cursive. The words leaped off the page, recounting the pilot's last flight and his longing to return home to the woman he loved. "I can't believe this," Lily whispered, tears forming in her eyes. He was trying to make it back to her, but it didn't end well. Jake remained silent, letting her absorb the weight of the revelation. They both knew that the pilot's fate was entwined with Lily's own family history, a narrative that had been hidden away for too long. Suddenly, the tranquility of the moment shattered as a rustling sound emerged from the bushes nearby. They turned, instinctively stepping back, as a figure emerged from the shadows. "Who's there?" Jake called out, his voice laced with apprehension. The figure stepped into the light, revealing an older woman with striking features that bore an uncanny resemblance to Lily. Her eyes were piercing, yet they held a warmth that made Lily's heart race. "I've been watching you," the woman said, her voice steady and calm. "I'm Mary, your great-aunt." Lily's breath caught in her throat. "What? I don't understand. I thought I had no family left." Mary took a step closer, her expression softening. "There are many stories that have been buried, my dear. I left to protect you and the legacy of our family. The rivalries. They run deep in Maplewood. I couldn't let you get caught in the crossfire." Jake exchanged a glance with Lily, confusion mingling with curiosity. "You've been watching over her?" he asked, trying to comprehend the implications. "Yes," Mary replied, her gaze shifting to the chest. "I knew you would find it eventually. It was time for the truth to come out, for the past to be acknowledged." Lily felt a surge of emotions, anger, relief, and an overwhelming sense of connection. "You knew all this time? Why didn't you come forward sooner?" "I had my reasons," Mary said gently, her voice tinged with regret. "But now, I want to help you understand our family's legacy and the sacrifices made for love. It's time to break the cycle of secrecy." As the forest seemed to hold its breath, the weight of Mary's words hung in the air. Lily's heart raced, knowing that the journey ahead would not only unearth the past but also reshape her future. The adventure was far from over, and the family bonds she had longed for were finally within reach. Lily stood in the clearing, heart racing as the figure stepped forward from the shadows, the fading sunlight illuminating the familiar features of a woman she had never met but instinctively knew she was connected to. Mary, the long-lost relative, bore a striking resemblance to Lily, with the same chestnut hair and bright green eyes that sparkled with a mix of sorrow and hope. "Lily, it's been so long," Mary said softly, her voice trembling. You know my name?" Lily stammered, glancing at Jake, who stood beside her, equally bewildered. Mary nodded, stepping closer, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "I've been watching over you since you arrived in Maplewood. I wanted to protect you from the past, but it seems fate has other plans." Jake exchanged a glance with Lily, sensing the weight of the moment. "Why were you hiding? What do you know about the helicopter and the diary?" he asked, his tone both curious and cautious. Mary took a deep breath, her expression turning serious. "There are stories in this village that many would rather forget. I was estranged from our family because of the rivalries that tore us apart. The pilot you read about in the diary was my brother, and he died under circumstances that the other family has kept secret for decades." Lily's heart pounded. "Your brother? So, he was part of our family?" "Yes," Mary replied, her voice thick with emotion. "He was brave and full of dreams, but the feud between our families led to tragedy. I want to help you understand our heritage, to reclaim the parts of our family that have been lost." With a sense of determination settling in, Lily nodded. "We have to tell the villagers. They deserve to know the truth." Mary smiled, a flicker of pride in her eyes. "Yes, and perhaps it's time to heal the old wounds." The three of them made their way back to the village, the air thick with anticipation. As they approached the town square, memories of tension and whispers surrounded them. Villagers gathered, their faces a mix of curiosity and concern as they noticed the trio's return. "Lily, Jake, a familiar voice called out. It was Mrs. Hargrove, an elder of the village. Her expression wrinkled with worry. "What have you found?" Lily stepped forward, her heart racing. "We've discovered the truth about our families and the pilot. Mary is my relative, and she wants to share our story." A murmur spread through the crowd. Skepticism etched on many faces. "And why should we believe you?" one villager challenged, crossing his arms defiantly. Mary raised her hand, her voice steady and firm. "Because I lived through it. I lost my brother to this feud, and it's time we stop letting the past dictate our future. We can't change what's happened, but we can choose how we move forward." Another villager spoke up, her voice trembling. "But what about the anger? The betrayals?" Jake stepped beside Mary, his eyes bright with conviction. "We've all been hurt, but healing starts with understanding. Let's honor the memories of those we lost by choosing unity over division." Lily felt a spark of hope. As more villagers began to listen, she could see the walls slowly crumbling. Mary shared stories of their family's legacy, tales filled with love and bravery, overshadowed by the rivalry that had defined their existence. The atmosphere shifted, a blend of curiosity and regret palpable in the air. One by one, villagers began to step forward, sharing their own stories. Stories of love lost and dreams shattered. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Maplewood, the village began to embrace the possibility of reconciliation. Laughter mingled with tears as they shared food and memories, the old grievances slowly fading into the background. Lily, Jake, and Mary stood together, witnessing the change unfold. "It's beautiful," Lily whispered, her heart swelling with gratitude. Mary smiled, a tear slipping down her cheek. "It is. This is what family means, finding each other and rebuilding what was lost." In that moment, surrounded by newfound connections and the promise of a brighter future, Lily knew she had truly found her place in Maplewood, a place where the past could finally rest, allowing the present to flourish.